pulled on her leather jacket, hiding her weapon. Current alias? I pinched the bridge of my nose, a habit that I picked up from her. She did it whenever I broke a rule or annoyed her. She narrowed her eyes at me, recognizing her own mannerisms used against her. Current alias, please, Sydney, she said firmly. I know we do this all the time, but it's the repetition that keeps us safe. I sighed. Wyatt Williams. I hated being Wyatt Williams. It made me sound like the world's most generic country singer. Our aliases were all the way up to W now. Mom kept the fake names alliterative, each new identity following the previous one in alphabetical order. Made them easier to keep track of, she said. I could trace our zigzagging path across North America by my discarded names. When we got off the plane in Los Angeles, I'd been Aaron Abrams. I'd been Darren Drake when we camped in Utah's Red Rocks and Mom taught me how to make a fire and find my own water. I'd been Mike Martinez in Mexico City, where two guys in dark suits and darker sunglasses chased us through a street market. I was Vincent Vargas last year in Peoria, the last time I went to an actual school. I wasn't sure what we'd do with X looming on the horizon. Xavier Extreme? I planned to pitch that. The only time I got to be myself, Sydney Chambers, was with my mom. I was named after the city where my parents met. I'd spent my first few years on a ranch outside Sydney. My memories of the place were hazy, but I could picture the way the crispy green grass in our backyard hurt my bare feet, and how once you left the range of our house's sprinkler system, the landscape turned to burned dirt and red rocks. I remembered there was a single road leading away from our house, not so different from our current hideout, and that we lived close to where my mom and dad worked. It was the outback, basically. Our place was cozy, and I don't remember ever feeling afraid out there, although there was the time that a wild dog got loose in our living room. That was how my mom got the scars on her arm, actually. It happened right before we left Australia. I think she interpreted the dingo trying to eat me as a sign we should leave. Anyway, I barely remembered Australia. And 10 years in America had scrubbed any trace of an accent. I definitely wasn't going to blow our cover by saying, "Good day, mate." My mom motioned to our plastic dinner table, where she'd left me a stack of textbooks and a Pop-Tart still in the wrapper. Today I'd like you to complete 2 chapters in math and finish up your reading on East Asian history. I yawned into my shoulder. Come on, Mom, it's Saturday. It's Tuesday. Oh, I paused. Are you sure? Did you get enough sleep last night, Sid? I had the dream last night, the one about my dad, but she didn't need to know that. Talking about him always put my mom into a funk. Half melancholy and half bloodthirsty guerrilla fighter without a mission. If I say no, can I go back to bed? My mom snorted and peeked out through our front curtains. In the early light, the smoke from the Green Guards bonfires was visible through the trees. The Ecological Direct Action Group had shown up a few weeks ago to protest the oil pipeline getting built at the edge of the woods. There were like 40 of them camped out there. Although their members came and went, so even after spying on them for days, it was difficult to get a perfect count. They were mostly high school-aged runaways and college kids with a few middle-aged lifer protesters as leadership. They'd stopped by our cabin to check that it was cool if they camped next to our land. We'd fixed up the abandoned cabin, but we were just squatters, so what were we supposed to say? I'd like you to stay inside while I'm gone, my mom said. We know all we need to about our neighbors. No need for another operation. An operation. That's what Mom called it whenever she sent me to be around people. Like the other day, when I'd popped by the Green Guard campsite to chat them up. It was important, Mom said, that I learn social skills. I'd been to 8 different schools over the years, never for longer than a few months, though. When I made friends, I always knew I'd have to leave them behind. Fugitives don't get to have friends. That used to bother me more. One time in Florida, I flipped out pretty bad. That was when Mom and I had the talk.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.